Well, it's that time, Vic. And in the meantime, we had a
drop-by VIP.
We had someone just a wonderful presence.
It just crashed the party, man.
just came through.
It's just like a diva on skates, you know. Okay. Did I get it right? Okay.
I'm just happy to be here in the Brain Center. You know I love you guys.
You look marvelous.
Thank you.
Like the flower and everything.
Thank you. I should stand up momentarily. I want to show
yes, Nick, you got to maybe we should introduce the guest.
No, this is Adrian Anderson. You don't have to introduce her.
Somebody, because the people are like, who is she then?
Let's see. Let me just get a twirl in there. There we go.
I'm going to tell.
Doesn't she look beautiful?
The Hodges collection.
Oh, bam.
Miss Deanna Hodges, which is a wardrobe sponsor for me, and I'm proud to represent the brand, and I'm happy to have her here today.
Yeah.
And I'm
bam.
very happy
to
have Adrian wear my beautiful clothes.
Oh, let's go.
We got them all here. Well, welcome, like she said, everybody. Adrian Anderson in the house.
Yes, beautiful.
You may have remember, many of you are familiar with her.
Yes.
Because she's all over the place, and that whole history of her musical career, which also is a fabulous story. And she's here, and she's the one who actually helped us and made this connection.
That's right.
Today, so that we would have Deanna Hodges, the entrepreneur of the Hodges Collection. So once again, let's welcome our guest, everybody. Deanna Hodges. Let me read this. I know. Get it out your system. Thank you. let me read this. Let me read this a little piece here from her bio so we can just learn a little bit about this wonderful woman. Designer Deanna Hodges serves as the president of Motivator Design Group, which includes the Hodges Collection and Etoile labels. She is the founder of Orange County Fashion Showcase and the Orange County Fashion Trade Association, a non-profit 501c3, as well as the Fashion Insiders Group and the Global Fashion Network. She's busy. The Orange County Fashion Trade Association is committed to providing scholarships to students in need in Orange County. The Hodges Collection and Etoile labels are often seen on celebrities on the red carpet, as well as running their errands around L.A. and in numerous magazine shoots. Hodges Collection is the epitome of California chic fashion, with flowing dresses made from the most luxurious fabrics. Any woman can wear her garments. Hodges pieces have the versatility of being worn casual by day and dressed up to wear out at night. Hodges Collection has quickly become known for their soft, drapey fabric and eye-catching dye treatments. All right, here we go.
Wow, what a description.
Everybody.
Okay,
welcome.
I'm loving it.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Adrian. Now tell us, how did you get started? This is such an interesting, we always like to hear about the things that get people into their careers. How did you get started, Deanna?
It's funny because I grew up in the South, and it's one of those things where we had 3 channels when I was growing up, and in the summer my parents would say, go outside. My dad would go to work, my mom would be home. Go outside, and she'd lock us out. We'd be outside all day. So when we were inside, sometimes when it was storming, because those thunderstorms in the South, we had our Barbie dolls and things like that. And my very first thing was a pattern I made for my Barbie doll when I was 4 or 5 years old. So I took my Barbie doll and I laid her on a piece of newspaper and I traced her legs. And I made a pattern. And it was a terrible pattern. And I made her a pair of pants that didn't fit because I didn't know anything about making patterns or sewing stuff. I sewed it by hand. They didn't fit. Her proportions are crazy anyway, but they didn't fit. So eventually I got it right and I made her a pair of pants that looked terrible even when they fit. But that's kind of how I got started. And I used to play on my granny's old Singer sewing machine, the foot pedal kind.
Yeah.
So when I'd go stay with my granny, she had one in the back room and I would just play on it and, started playing with the sewing machine. And that's kind of how I got started making stuff. Took some sewing classes. Made my first horrible corduroy cargo skirt. You do not want to make a heavy skirt with cargo pockets. It does not work.
Learning. Well, that's kind of learning on the job. Now, that's interesting, too, about the Barbies, because as I remember, people today can't relate, but when Barbie first came out, extremely expensive on the clothing. Remember, I
Yes.
mean, it wasn't like the day where girls would go out and buy 5 and 6 outfits for their Barbie.
Yes.
You know, you really had to slow down because Barbie, and they had all the Barbie knockoffs. So like you get that, people be pissed off. I got a Slarby here. It's not really Barbie, but yeah. So you were making that even as a young child, and again, you are from the South.
I am. I'm from a small town outside of Jacksonville called McClenny, Florida, Baker County. It's about
Yes.
30 miles west, and if your parents are from Jacksonville, you know it. Very small town. Dirt roads. When I was growing up, they've paved them since, but there used to be, I think, 2 red lights in town.
Wow.
And one school, the main cemetery, that kind of thing. Everything was very small. Everybody knew everybody. Almost everybody was related. And if they weren't, they knew everybody else or were dating somebody that was related to somebody else. So, but it was a great way to grow up because, it just was a nice pace. And having those interactions with other people so closely, you could stay out after dark and you could go to people's houses and not have to worry back then. Now, you don't want to let your kids run the streets until after dark, and we did, and it was kind of the thing back then. It was fine. It was normal. So it was a really nice way to grow up, and my grandma lived, not too far away, and, I don't know, well, you probably remember this, but in our small town, you didn't have to dial the first 3 digits of the phone number.
Yeah.
You only had to dial the last 4. So ours was 6492, and my granny's was 6412, and we would just dial it, and
It's like the long distance operator or the video rental store. These are the things that you cling to. I remember exactly when numbers actually increased and people even had party lines.
Yeah.
Where you had to actually share phone lines with people. But you got to, so here you have this, very humble beginning, very nice, at least it sounds like a very nurturing surroundings, and you started at a pretty young age. So how did that expand as you got into that, well, even your teenage years, like high school? What happened, what was going on with your development of your projects and your sewing and stuff as you were getting older?
Oh, I tell you, in high school, I was just trying to survive. I mean, I didn't do much creative stuff in high school. I was just trying to get through high school. I was a good student and everything, but I'm very type A, so I would just pile on everything. I was a cheerleader. I ran track. I played softball. I was on the honor society. All my schoolwork and everything. And if I could fit 1 more hour in the day, I'd add 1 more project to do. And that's just kind of the way. So I didn't really get back to my fashion stuff until later. So during high school, I was just.
But notice too, I always see, this is why I love to ask those questions, because what you see is that pattern, that work ethic.
Yeah.
That work ethic. See,
Yes.
It's funny, you don't think of it at the time.
Right.
Because you're like running around. Oh, no, but I did cheerleading, and then I played an instrument, and I did this, and I was, oh, yeah. Yeah, so you were a busy, active person.
Yes, and I mean, if in the South, you're raised a certain way, especially in small towns. And my dad had a landscaping business, so when I was little, we started working very, very young, and I would go with him every Saturday morning and mow grass and edge and trim, and I mean, he had us working from the time we were little, and we lived on 5 acres. So we had to upkeep that too. And my dad had a passion for, agriculture and being in the yard and working with plants and things like that from the time he was very young. So, that was the path that his life took. And we all of us worked with him. And some summers I would go work with him, and I can lay sod. I can do a sprinkler system. I can build a raised flower bed.
It is too. How many of us have had to work? See, I say it that way because when you are coming up, it kind of feels a little like a pain in the ass. But how many of us have had to work for our parents? I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had me on the weekend.
Why don't you tell them about why you don't want no water in the pool? Because you haven't lived down the work and pain of.
People come to the studio, which here Pack Studios at the house, and there's a pool and it's empty. And that's because I'm in the process of decking the pool, but I'm designing like a club treehouse inside the pool. Then you put a deck over the pool. But part of the reason why I have the issue with the pool, Deanna, is that my father, when we first got this house and we're lucky enough to have a house with a pool, he did not believe in gardeners nor pool men. In fact, when people would ask him who was the pool man, he said, "I have two."
That's
And he would
right.
point to my brother and I. So I had to check the pH and brush the pool. I hated the pool. And people all around the neighborhood would always want to come over and swim in the pool. And when they got out, I had to check the pool, skim the pool. So I hated the pool.
Well, you're lucky that you're in Southern California and not in Florida, because if you had to
Oh,
do the pool in
yes.
Florida, try mowing the grass in the summer in
Oh.
Florida.
And I hate mowing the grass too. I had to do that too. I had to. See, and now that my father didn't believe, no gas mower.
no.
We want that old kind.
Push.
Yeah, push.
Oh my
Oh, we had a
goodness.
Yeah,
mower.
push. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Build some muscles up, boy. Yeah.
So I get some nice calluses going on
Wow.
those hands. That's what happens when you do.
Well, at least it shows again this whole thing. Like I love to point to, because so many people that we run into, and I don't know if you run into, they often want to tell you that you're a genius. You know, that this comes naturally and easy for you, as opposed to the fact that for most of us, it's been a labor of love, sometimes for 20, 30 years, most of our life. So I guess it is genius if you work at it for 20-some years
That's right.
and finally get it at least sort of right. So yeah, because people imply that, and what we see again from your life, it wasn't that. It was the foundations and hard work, because you can get ahead, it's just none of the ways are easy, right?
That's right. That's right. You got to build a foundation.
You got to build a foundation. So how did you get started from that background? How did you end up going on to the Hodges collection?
Well, I moved to California. I came out to California from Florida. I always knew I would come out here. It was just timing. So I came out here on a project. I worked a consulting project and started my line. But before that, I had worked for a swimwear company, and I'm not going to say who it is. I had worked for them for years, and you'll understand why I'm not going to say who it is. But I worked in this business for 24 years already. So I worked for other people before I started my own line, and there was this one gentleman, and I said, if he can do it, I can do it, because I didn't know how he did it, because he didn't seem like the brightest bulb in the box, but he had a very successful business, and I had worked behind the scenes for a long time, and I said, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's what really, in my times of doubt and things like that, I'm like, no, he was able to do it. I need to keep on trucking, and I just need to keep pushing and just keep doing my thing and stay focused, keep my eye on the prize. And that's really what works, no matter what you're doing, whether you're building a fashion line, whether you're doing a music career, no matter what it is, you just keep your eye on the prize and you just keep working towards it. And that's really what happens, is repetition, repetition, repetition. And so I started my line. The first line I started wasn't Hodges Collection. It was a tween line. And it was denim and plaid before denim and plaid were big.
Really?
Yeah, and September 11th killed it. And I have never been so thankful in my life, because I went and I got this big order from Federated in New York, which is the Macy's and Dillard's. They own all of those companies. And I was very ballsy at the time and very green. So I just called them up and said, hey, I'm a designer. I have this new line. And the lady was like, whenever you're in New York, let me know and I'll see you. So I drove down to LAX to Cheap Tickets and bought me a ticket, came back, called her the next day and said, I'm going to be there on such and such date. And she was speechless. She's like, okay, I told you I'll see you. So I went in with my samples. They had no prices. Wow. They had no, I like...
Risk taker.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. I knew I had samples. I didn't have line sheets. I didn't have photos. I didn't have pricing. I didn't have anything. But I go there, and I have my stuff in a suitcase. I took the red eye. I stopped at, a Denny's type restaurant in New York after I got off the plane.
Had you been to New York, by the way, prior to that?
I had, but
okay, at
I
least
didn't
that
know.
Does help.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does.
That's
but
a culture
still,
shock.
Right.
Yeah, so I cleaned up, changed into my outfit that I was going to go to my meeting in, and took a cab. They dropped me off. I had my meeting. And the lady was so, so nice. And she's like, well, how much are these? And I'm like, I have no idea. And she was nice enough to help me. And she wrote a big order. And I don't know if it was because she genuinely liked me or she felt sorry for me or, I don't know what it was. But it freaked me the hell out, because when I got back on that plane that evening to fly back, I didn't sleep. at all. I was having panic attacks, not knowing. I didn't even know what to do. Like, I was like, I don't know how am I going to make all this stuff? How am I going to produce all this stuff? And, you know, some people may think this is kind of crazy, but I mean, I had sleepless night after sleepless night, and I just have these crazy dreams because I just had all this stress and this panic, like, I can't let her down. You know, I've got to fill this order, and it was a $30,000 order.
Wow.
And
wow.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I didn't know anything about marking, grading, none of the technical stuff. I knew I had samples, and I knew that she orders stuff. That's all I knew. And so one night I was having this crazy dream, and I was in this, like, gas station, 7-Eleven type thing, and the store was in chaos. And my dad passed away when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And my dad walked in the store and walked all around the perimeter, and as he walked around, it got calm. And then he just walked out, and from that point on, I was calm. Because I had all this chaos in my life, and I think he was like, okay, I need to come in and calm things down a little bit. And then, unfortunately, September 11th happened, and they called and canceled all new vendors. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, because I didn't know what I was going to do if I had to fill that order. So
you weren't ready.
I was not ready.
Wow.
And that scared me into getting, you know, kind of getting things together a little more. And there's a lot to be said for just jumping in and doing it, but you really have to take care of your business. And I didn't have my business taken care of at that point.
Well, you were learning, too. The
yeah.
thing I liked is that you didn't use that as an excuse to get going. So many of the people we run into are getting prepared forever.
Yeah.
They're forever getting ready. If they can just get ready, they're going to do it soon. Now, the other thing that kind of struck me, too, was the whole idea of fear. Because one of the things that I've remarked upon to other folks is that anytime I've ever done anything of really significance, I was scared shitless. I was scared very... And so as I got older, I actually came to believe that if I'm not scared, it's just not big enough. It's not risky enough. I'm not trying hard enough, because everything that's big in your life, you're still scared.
Yeah.
It's just how you channel and deal with that fear. It's there, though. I'm not going to act like I'm not nervous. You can use whatever term you want to use, but you're feeling anxiety. Your heart is pounding. Once again, you're back in the 5th grade, standing in front of the class. Only this time you're on the Shark Tank. You're talking to them, but you're still going through the same.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that again. It reminds me that even when you're afraid like that, like you said, you couldn't sleep. You couldn't sleep. But again, I want people to take home that lesson, because that's what it feels like when you struggle to do something. That is, Deanna just gave you a favor and let you know what it feels like, and that you are going to have sleepless nights. One of the things we said when you walked in is about how hard we have to work. And the times that you do, you're running around, and if you can get just a nice, good, long night's sleep sometime.
That's right. That's right.
So that's wonderful. So here you met this guy, and so now you're starting to think, and by the way, everybody, we didn't even mention the fact that women, you know, at this time, you know, we came up in the era of women's liberation, of women officially even though they had been doing it forever, you know, because they were there right next as the pioneers and everything else, loading the guns, shooting the rifles, all of that.
All of it.
But finally our society had grown to the point where we were actually starting to acknowledge women. And so you actually came up in the South through that time where these were the beginnings of folks really being able to even recognize that a woman could do these things.
Women can do anything they want to do. Actually, you know, women make men possible.
That's a T-shirt.
That's right.
That's a T-shirt.
Because we give birth to the men and the women. But, you know, women can handle... I think women are stronger in certain ways because we have the... Not only... I mean, we may not be as physically strong sometimes as a man, but when you put in the mental and the emotional and everything else, the strength that women have to the capacity to deal with all of that stuff, that men, I think a lot of men, at least ones I've dated, aren't equipped to deal with at all.
Well, most of them, and I'll be honest, most of the guys I know can't deal with it either.
Right.
They need to feel like they've been more places, know more, seen more.
Right.
And that's a weakness on their part. But they have time to grow.
Yes, we all have time to grow.
We have time to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Hodges collection. So now that you're seeing, because that's one of the motivations. Either you're working for somebody or with somebody who's getting paid for doing something you do better than them. Certainly an enlightening moment.
Yes.
How did you take and use that now to get going? Because now, by the way, you didn't tell us of what you did for that 24 years in the business you had been working behind the scenes.
I worked for other companies. I've done almost everything in the business. I have been in sales. I have set up trade shows. I have been a fit model. I have been a trade show model. I have been a catalog model. You name it. If they were paying me $1 to do it and it was in the business, I was doing it.
Well,
And-
Deanna, that's amazing because, today part of the challenge, even in social media, they're telling everybody, you got to wear multiple hats.
You got to be the butcher, the
You've
baker,
been wearing
and
multiple
the
hats.
candlestick maker. That's right. You got to do it all. And this is something I say to my employees, my interns, everything. I will not ask you to do anything that I myself am not willing to do. I do every job here. I come in, I take out the trash, I sweep the floor, I vacuum. I do it all because I don't want, I think that with the new generation and more people are becoming entrepreneurs, I think it's important for those that we're mentoring that are coming up underneath us to see that, hey, you don't have to separate yourself like that from everybody else and say, okay, I'm the boss and I'm going to tell you what to do. Because guess what? When you're up here and you're the boss, if you don't know every single job, you got people ripping you off left
That's
and right,
right.
and people telling you it takes 4 hours to do something it takes 30 minutes to do because you don't know any better.
Leadership by example.
That's right.
Oh, it's amazing. I could parade her in front of our folks because she's preaching the things that I say so much. Because we say the same thing here to all the people that we run into, the entrepreneurs. There's so many of them who don't want to learn to do a basic website or a flyer or be able to describe their own product, or even go through. I tell them, no one said you had to do it well, but you have to try. And you have to go through that process because that's how you learn how to run your... I agree with you so much. In fact, I have a saying that goes, you can't make a mistake I haven't made.
That's right.
True.
But I
That's
can't
right.
have all of you guys make the same mistakes on my equipment. So one person makes the mistake and we learn from it, okay?
That's right.
We don't go and blow up the whole thing. But that's amazing because, again, it gets back to the same old thing that here you are. I can even get a feeling now for your management style. Very hands-on. And if they can't do it, you can step in.
That's right. And if they're
I'll
not
do it.
doing it right, I know. And if they're not doing it quickly enough with a sense of urgency, because in my business, you have to turn goods so quickly. We have trade shows all the time. We have orders coming in. We have to make those goods, ship those goods, and all of my stuff is hand dyed. Any of the dyes are all hand done. So we have to have a sense of urgency about everything. And I think that's one thing that has gotten lost with many kind of this generation is the sense
totally.
of urgency.
Right.
It makes me want to scream and shake people and say, where is your sense of urgency? Because I tell you, tomorrow's going to come regardless. And you're either going to have this much done or you're going to have nothing done. And it's up to you. So if you want to keep trucking forward, you need to keep making things happen. And it requires a sense of urgency. And, I feel it's important for my people that work for me that I do them a great service by allowing them to be involved in so many aspects of the business. So when they move on to the next thing, they're like, I got this. And they can go in somewhere else and shape some other people that work under them there.
Just this past Sunday, 60 Minutes, talking about the new millennials, the young folks now who are flooding into the job market and how it's causing turmoil all throughout the industries. Some industries don't adapt, they just fire them. Okay.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
the whole fact that this generation doesn't see any stigma with having 4 jobs in a year.
Right.
They also do not see any stigma with living at home. In fact, the studies say that when you quiz them, they go, oh no, living at home with your parents at 26 is actually very smart because you're taking the time to figure out your life and do all these things. I sat there amazed. But when you see them, they say it so well known. And the guys are saying, and the girls are going, yeah. Guys that are home at 26, yeah, I date a bunch of them. And they're figuring out their life, and we're all figuring out. And I was going like, but what's amazing, now let me tell you something. We talked about how businesses have to have a bunch of committee meetings and vote and studies to implement change to adapt to situations. No. Deanna Hodges, because she's a hands-on person, is talking about now her approach to dealing with things I just saw. They were talking about Wall Street corporations, major companies, attempting to do what you're already doing. And the psychology behind that. Hiring consultants to teach the old people how to deal with the new people, and then hiring consultants to teach the new people that you actually have to sometimes stay late.
Yes.
Or work on a weekend.
Yes.
They look at you like you're out of your mind.
Yes.
You what? And they want praise for everything that they're supposed to do. And no criticism. So I get it. But just hearing you say that, Deanna, I just want you to know, I just got to. So you're so progressive. I don't know if you really, maybe you knew that. But they're all talking about this in the industry, about how to adapt to this new group. And they're saying exactly what you're saying. But you're dealing with it, huh?
Yeah, I have no choice. I mean, and I think it's great, but I have no choice because the people that are coming into the industry are those people that have a different, they didn't grow up the way I grew up. They were never required to work. None of that stuff. And there was no sense of loyalty. Like you said, 4 jobs in 1 year is no big thing.
It's no stigma.
Yeah, but, I'll tell you, I had an intern and they would look at the clock, and I think he finally understood when he goes, I said, okay, we need to do this. He goes, oh, well, I only got 5 minutes to go. I said, well, then you better get going fast because that needs to be done before you go. I said, in that 2 minutes that you just stood there telling me that you got 5 minutes to go, we're gonna tack that on to the end because it's a you can't be successful if you're just saying, okay, I got 5 minutes before I go. Those people I don't want, and if I can't kind of guide them to change their way of thinking and make them understand why. I don't just tell them to do it. I help them kind of understand why. And when they learn the business as a whole and see the bigger picture, they kind of understand. If you put people in a box and say, okay, you're going to sit in this box and stamp papers all day and that's all you're going to do, they're going to look at that clock because they don't see how it impacts anybody else. They really have no perception of the bigger picture. So I think that's the way that I go about it, is to giving them more of a sense of responsibility and helping them take pride in what they do and see that they're part of this big thing and they're an important part of it. And without them, it holds us up. So
and you did that without hiring a $150,000 consultant to figure that out for you.
That's right.
You actually figure that out yourself.
Mario, I have to say this. To your point that you're making, because you all just you're a think tank, and I love it. About being progressive, that stood out to me about Deanna. I met Deanna at a pre-Academy Awards gifting suite. I was making an appearance, and she was one of the vendors there with product. And everyone wanted her dresses on the table, and she was a big hit. And so I had gotten there. My agent sent me over there, and I was speaking with her, and I noticed, number one, she was approachable. But also, she knew her product very well. The dresses were absolutely beautiful. And I said, I'd like to speak with you further because I knew that it appealed to me. And she says, okay. She goes, I have to go to Vegas. First she goes, here's your dress. What size are you? She gives me the dress and everything. She goes, I have to go to Vegas and set tables up. I have a convention. She goes, I'm sick right now, but I'm going to finish this up, go to Vegas. I'm going to come back in a week. She goes, and then you and I can meet. And she looked me in the eye and said this. I could tell she was under the weather. But I thought to myself, this is the Hodges collection, and this is Deanna Hodges. She's telling me she's sick right now, just recovering, going to go drive to Vegas, set up tables for a convention trade show, and have me in mind to meet with me when she returns and gives me her return date, all within this. And I knew I respect this woman. Yes. I love her product, but there's something about her that she's a doer, she's a go-getter, and she's not resting on her laurels. And that stood out to me that day, absolutely.
Well, like I said, it's amazing. And again, we love to tell the story to our community because we think it serves as the models, and also it serves to ground them. No fantasy, okay? No fantasy about what it takes to do things today. No fantasy. How about trying even when you don't know what you're doing? How about, because most of us, again, it's a recurring theme when we talk to the folks, they tried and did things when they weren't sure, when there was no proof. So many people want proof of reward before they even start. Well, I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. Well,
you're wrong.
That's hence our quote today. Let's go take a look at some of your presences around the internet. Okay. And you tell me, and you tell us what you want to, how about the HodgesCollection.com?
HodgesCollection.com is my website, and we're currently rebranding our website. So I will be back after it's complete to do another segment with you guys because I love you so much. But
I like the models already.
Is that obvious?
You all have to see this.
That is so
Wait,
obvious.
come on, back up.
Mario, stop interrupting.
Well, I got to back up. I'm sorry, but you got to let it. But while she's talking, they can see the wonderful Hodges collection.
I knew it. It just took only a half an hour, and he's gonna go.
Well, I'm noting because again, I tell everybody I only look so much at the stuff because I want to experience it with you. It's that old style of having sitting around the living room having a conversation, right? So wait a minute, that looks like
That is the blonde girl that just passed is Susan Romanishan. She was Miss Orange County last year, and she modeled for me for a while. This is Veronica. She was Miss Pacific Coast. That's Susan right there in the turquoise posh dress. So we have some great models, and all of this will be revamped within a week. We're doing a big lifestyle photo shoot on Sunday in the harbor, and we have it's going to have a whole new look. So
now let me ask you a little bit about that too now, because while we're letting them see parts of this whole concept of being hands-on, you are a person who came in designing fashion. Therefore, I've always had the opinion, people like that always have very distinct opinions about even their websites and the way things look in the presentation because they've been doing that all their life. How about this rebranding and the branding? How much of that is you, and what was your input and the whole impetus behind all that?
It's all me. It's all me, because if I don't like it, it's funny because anybody who's done a website and had somebody else doing their website for them usually comes to this point of frustration where you say, you know what, I just don't even want to mess with it right now. And I went through that phase, and then I had my agent get on my butt and say, okay, get past that, and you need to redo your website. Because I had gotten so frustrated with the people that were working on my website, I was just like, I just can't deal with them.
Worse than car mechanics now. It's even a worse percentages. I would estimate probably 10 or 15% of the people out there are truly competent. Once you sort through all the people who do it as a part-time hobby, which is okay, except they don't do it well.
Right.
I did it as a hobby, so but there's the whole thing. So you got your imprint into that because it comes across. I'm just now for the first time seeing your fashions.
Oh, okay.
And as a man, and I'm not, whatever. I'm liking it.
Well, thank you.
There's certainly at the website and the presentation, I like to get right to stuff. I don't like to have to look hard. I tell people I have to search hard for information on your site or search hard to find what I want. You're going to lose me. So now this one has some nice things. Now, how about this? How about the celebrity sightings?
Well, we have one of them sitting here with us.
That's right.
Well, look at that.
I'm working security. I'm proud. There we go. The first pick on the website. You have anything to say about this, Adrian?
Once again, I was very excited. That was for BT Awards, and I was excited to have Deanna Hodges support by having a collection. Yes, it's Malcolm Jamal Warner, among many other celebrities that were there. But I can tell you something, when you respect the founder of the company, you feel really good about wearing the clothes. I already love the clothes, but I have such respect, and I'm enjoying growing and building a relationship with Deanna. I look forward to everything that transpires. I think that people are getting more behind the brand now and learning more about the people because they're more interested. So I think it's commendable, and since I love Pack Stereo TV, I think you guys are phenomenal. This is just a great time, and I wanted to be able to connect this also out, thanking you all for having me on the show and all your support.
Oh, well, wow. And thank you. We, you know, it's funny. Some things are mutual. They truly are, because in this world of internet television, we're constantly seeking out individuals like this who can contribute and that we can showcase. We want to show the world the other side because we think there is an other side, and look at the other side.
Right.
That's what you represent, and to us, it makes it come so home to the people in social media. They want to know today about the. They don't want to know companies.
Right.
But they want to know people behind the company.
Yes.
But no one, they don't want to interact with a company. They want to interact, though, with the person who made the company happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the way this is. And the fact that she is so hands-on, I too, because, you know, that's the same way we have approached things here. And so to find that, you know, you love to find at least a sense of community with some other people who hard-working.
Right, of
about
course.
their stuff. You just don't run across it like that. Let's go down your celebrity sighting page. Take a look. Yeah.
You can tell who my favorite one is.
Wow.
I like that dress.
Wow. Okay, boss. The boss has got it going on. Like you said, from the top down. Because you know you set a tone, right, within your business, right? Got to set that tone for these young folks. And they know that the boss can put it on and take a picture, too. And lay it out. So that's wonderful. Look at that. Look at that. There you go.
And this girl performing right here is Jody Miller. She is an amazing comedian. If you ever get a chance to see her, I dressed her for this event, and she looked really hot.
Did you hear that? She dressed her.
I know.
I dressed her for that event.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
And this right here, the blonde crawling on the floor right there, that was for a magazine shoot. And that is Miss California, Katie Blair. So she was Miss California last year, and I dressed her for this, provided clothing for this shoot.
Make these a little bigger here.
She's beautiful.
You know what?
What?
You know what?
I'm just thinking out loud.
You know what?
Just thinking out loud.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm just thinking out loud because you know what? See, here's the other thing. You look at people, and they can be so unassuming. And then you don't realize all these other talents. That's why I have to smile, because thinking of Deanna laying this out.
I know.
And dressing these ladies and having that look and keeping it hot and pertinent. And
she said, she gave you the hint. She says, I'm A-type.
Yeah, you do. I'm feeling you on this. It's wonderful. Take it, because I'm saying, look at this. Look at this. Wow. Look at this, you guys. Come on now. You know you want it bigger.
You know what? You say the wrong things at the right time.
You know you want it bigger. Look at that outfit. No, man, and even the way she works the shoes and the attitude.
I'm going to ask a question.
Real attitude.
I have to ask a question. What is the one thing that fashion designers are misunderstood by regularly? Most of the time, it's taken for granted, and they're terribly misunderstood when it comes to fashion, because most people think that you sit up there and just draw, and you just wake up in the morning and draw some more.
Right. And, you know, I always tell people, interns, friends, people that come to me for advice, you can either be a creative and be an artist, or you can run a business. If you choose to run a business and make it a successful business, if you're lucky, 5% of your time is spent drawing, sketching, painting, creating. The other 95% of the time is spent running a business. Because you can be a starving artist and design all day long, paint all day long, create all day long. But if you want to turn it into a business, that takes up the majority of your time. So I have to physically, you know, literally set aside time to do my sketches and to make my colors. And I usually do it late at night or on the weekend, on a Sunday. And I sit down and I carve out 2 or 3 hours and I say, that's all I'm going to do. The phone's going off. I'm not going to look at email, because I really get ADD. If I don't check my email for a while, I'll be like tweaking and sort of be like, I've got to check my email. Something's, you know, we get so addicted.
Yep.
Now that we have smartphones.
Yes, we do.
And feel like we have to be doing that. So I really struggle, but I force myself to just completely shut down for a few hours so that I can design the new pieces And when I'm out, I'll make notes or I'll snap pictures or make a little audio note and say, I want to do something like this.
You do that on your smartphone.
I do that on my smartphone.
Loving it. We say the same thing here too, Deanna. For example, for us to be able to design a new show, it's funny, like you said, same experience. The majority of my time is managing this, keeping the systems running, getting the videos packaged, and when the time it takes to put aside to be creative, you actually have to sort of, it's almost like taking a vacation, which we don't get very many, because it doesn't count as a vacation when you travel there for a business meeting.
That's right.
And you have to go get ready, even though it's a wonderful place, but you have to go do a meeting. It just doesn't feel like vacation.
Right. And the whole time you're checking emails and your staff is calling you, and I haven't had a real unplugged vacation in a long time, but when you have passion for something, it's not like it's work. It's work, of course, and you get tired and you put in a lot of hours, but there's that passion that drives you and you love it so much that it's not the same as if I had to go to a corporate gig. One day I might have to kick myself for saying this, but if I had to go sit in an office for 40 or 50 hours a week, I think I'd claw my eyeballs out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not something I'm passionate about. But I can easily, doing what I do, work 100 hours a week and not blink.
Right.
I'm tired and all that stuff, no vacations, but I love it. And it's not as hard to work 100 hours doing what I love as it would be even to work 30 hours doing something I hate.
Imagine I hate being told what to do. I asked my mother she'll tell you, I was like 9 years old. I said, how many people can tell me what to do? It's too many people. I go to school, they tell me what to do. Come home, you tell me what to do. There's too many people. And the idea, especially imagine working under some idiot. And you're sitting there going like, oh, geez. Wow, this is killing me. I'm totally with you. I'd rather work, and then the pace you set is faster.
That's right.
It's more productive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the studies say that folks like you, automatically do the work of 7 to 10 people.
All day,
That's why the firms are constantly looking for them, and they give them the pay premium, even though the young ones, like you said, they're going to leave in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
People like this do the work of 7 to 10 people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree.
Mario, when you go to her production house, because I've been there. I went there for one of our first meetings for trying on the clothes. And I saw her with the employees. They're filling orders for orders across the country.
Wow.
It is.
Well, that's one
work.
day. That's the kind of thing. Well, you see, remember that's another thing in the how-to and the today's reality TV is successful because these are the stories that are fascinating people. And I watch the Axemen. I watch people chopping wood in the hills, hunting in the swamp, catching crabs.
Catfish.
They have all the model shows. So really, even like I told our guest who did the organically grown cigars, I said some of these things cry out for a reality show, and really because of the charm and charisma of the entrepreneurs behind the thing. It's amazing. If you had a boring entrepreneur person, then it's not.
Right.
But to watch I would love to watch you talking to some of them young folks. I would watch that. I would watch that like, oh, go girl. Tell them, for me, because just like, you look at TMZ.
Yeah.
Same kind of phenomena.
Sure is.
Well, let me just show you. I'm going to scroll down these pictures real quickly because you got to see just a couple of them. Wow. Look at this. Because it speaks, one thing to talk about the products, and it's cool, but man, as we start to look and get the flavor for that situation, wow. Because that's not the fashions I was expecting for some reason. I don't know what I was expecting now because, I am a man and I am a pig. But,
you might like this yellow dress coming up then, and you'll see what I mean.
I'm liking, you got me, ooh. And it does have an elegance. Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Commercial.
Yeah,
commercial.
okay.
That's
guys,
hot.
wonderful.
That's hot.
Wonderful.
Great picks, though. They're great. I like that hat. All right.
Striking.
Now, while we look at these pictures, you do somehow run a nonprofit.
I do, and it's a newer thing. I always say that our time on this earth should be spent making things better for those that come after us. We're each allocated a certain amount of years, and we need to leave a legacy and make it better for those that come after us. And hopefully they learn and people evolve a little faster because there are people that help them. So I really try to mentor students and, help provide scholarships. Because I know when I was going to college, it's expensive to go to college. And after my first foray into the fashion business after September 11th, I went back to college. And I ended up getting a master's degree. And I got this small scholarship for $250. And I tell you, I was the happiest person because $250 is a lot when you got to pay for books and tuition and everything else. And it really, even though it was only $250, it helped. And as we progress in life and in our career and finances and things, we forget how important $250 is to a college student.
Yeah.
So that's what I've decided to do is use my fashion platform. We have tons of students who come and volunteer with us. They learn the business. They intern with our partners and with me. But we also have a scholarship competition. We have several competitions, but we have a scholarship competition. And they're smaller scholarships, but they help. Especially when you're a student, you're like,
everything. That
is going to pay my half of the rent for the next month. That was a huge help. Or that's going to pay for my books for the semester. And it, I feel like I've been so blessed that I need to give back. And if I don't give back, it would be a crying shame. As they say in the South, it would be a crying shame for me not to give back and try to help those who can later help those that come after them and just make it better all the way down the road. But we also have an emerging designer competition, which helps new designers who are emerging into the scene. They win a lot of, whoever wins gets a lot of prizes. On the website, they end up in our winner's circle. They get 2 hours of social media with a social media expert. They get 2 hours of intellectual property counseling from a lawyer who is on our committee. They get a fashion show during Fashion Week, fully paid for, fully produced, models, hair, makeup, everything.
Wow.
They get all kinds of, they get a 1-year membership to Fashion Business Incorporated in LA. They get another fashion show produced in LA by one of my committee members, Paris Harris. So they get all of these things, a magazine article, plus photos in numerous media outlets that come and cover the shows. So these are things that when I was first starting out, I would have practically killed for. I begged people to even give me a mention. This was before social media was huge, but I would send stuff to magazines, to newspapers, and nobody wanted to hear about it because who are you? Why are we
turn your package after?
That's right.
No unsolicited
that's right.
merchandise.
But these are things that you need to make people notice you and to give you a little bit of credibility. You need press clippings, you need photos, you need a fashion show where the media sees you and buyers see you. You need to have all this under your belt before anybody's going to even talk to you. The first sales rep I ever talked to, you know what they said to me? Let me know when you have 2 years of shipping under your belt. I'm like, well, how am I going to do 2 years of shipping if I can't get a sales rep? It's like the catch-22. We'll take you if you have, we love your product, but you need a 2-year track record. Well, how are you going to get that without, so it's a struggle. So I really try to, those foundational things that cost me a lot of money and mistakes and a lot of time, I try to provide for whoever wins our emerging designer competition to kind of give them a leg up and ensure a little bit more success on their part.
Well, I want to commend you on the fact that it's so ingrained within your efforts to do these kinds of things. We too think, again, similar to you, and it's wonderful to see you doing that, not so much again from a giant corporation you all, but from individuals who are grounded in these principles, and therefore it's part of the work experience and the tone that they set. And again, I'm telling this because people in the chat room, they know I'm harping on this again, because this comes up all the time, and the thing we hear constantly, again, is do I have to really do all these things?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. You have to do all these things. But here's the thing. Look at Deanna Hodges and let's ask her, are you successful? How do we define success? Because for a lot of us, people who talk to us say, well, what are you trying to do? Where are you going with this? And it comes down to this whole issue of how do we define success? Because if our goal is to be, quote unquote, successful, just what is that and when do we reach that? So for you, because you have all these things, how would you say that you define success?
I think the best way to describe success is doing what you love and being able to make a living doing it, period. That's success to me. Success can be so many other aspects added into that, but the foundation of success is doing what you love and being able to sustain a lifestyle, a comfortable lifestyle, doing what you love. And not having to have people tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But I will say something, a comment you just made about, do we have to do this? If you're asking yourself, gosh, do I have to do this? Then you're doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Because you should want to do this. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing what you love, you want to do it. And some days you may not want to get out of bed. You may be tired. And you may be like, I just don't want to deal with that today. I mean, everybody has that. It's peaks and valleys. Life is yin and yang. But ultimately you just really have to love it and you have to want to do those things because those things get you to the next level and to the next level. Yes. And that's truly what success is.
Well, here we go.
Hey, you know what?
Here we go, because you gotta be able to close your eyes at night. Some people I got a friend, he wants a yacht and a plane. And I go, why? I mean, I don't, again, people define these things differently.
Yeah. They sure do.
I remember my writing party says, man, I consider, once I hear it was one of our songs on the radio, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
And when he heard the song played,
he was happy.
The grin, and that was it.
Everything
else was gravy.
Yep.
But some of us, need more, but it's just, again, when you define it like Deanna's defined it, then you are waking up happy and feeling, happy with what you're doing. Like I tell Vic all the time, we've had to tear up the schedule because we keep getting ahead of it.
Yep.
We keep having to rewrite the schedule every 3 months. And we've moved forward beyond all that.
And it's amazing because, and I don't want to forget the chat room, and I'm apologizing to them because they
know, and they know
that we normally come to you guys, but when somebody's just telling a good story, I'm sorry, y'all just gonna have to be on hold, okay, just for a second, because she's in here for one time at this moment, and as she grows even more, I don't want to even interrupt her flow. But I do want to respect the chat room and say they believe they love the grind, the philosophical approach, real talk, and like Max said, it's like a millionaire gave him some advice. The key to success is failure, and you have to success. Your success is always built on the failures, not always on the successes. So everybody's here talking about this, but I will say this: I know we can talk all day. We know we got your big fashion showcase that happened in April. We know that. Yeah. Can you Mari's going to lead you into this. While you're talking about that, when he gets to that point, tell me what's the most entertaining and fun part of what you do. Now, Mari, you can take it.
I have the Orange County Fashion Show.
I know.
Yeah, and remember, we want to show We want to show the video.
I know that.
So we will. So let's give it a little time. I'm trying not to curse because Deanna's here. See. Now, we run this thing. I don't say it that way. Wait a minute. But because she's here, we're going to give her, the due focus. What I think I would say, we don't serve other masters.
Right. Now
we serve just these masters.
Now the video, and all due respect, because Mario doesn't look at the videos, I just put them in there just to get a flavoring of it. It's really, and you know what, Mario? See, this is the part. He just takes. See what he sees. See what I do. I go from being
Spanky.
That is Spanky Valentine, and I tell you, you should have Spanky on the show. She is an amazing performer. She sings and dances, and she's gorgeous. And she used to be one of my models back in the day, and she's amazing.
And you know what? And
I was getting distracted because this is the page for the Orange County fashion show.
Yes.
And again, she's so active locally. And see what I'm saying again? doing all this stuff, and then it's still not enough just to do it in the cave. Okay, you got to come out the cave and go out there in the world and be part of that world too. So here you are, Orange County, making your mark, and got the old man looking at the pictures. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Well, we can at least show some of the video, right?
Well, the video is an interview, Mario, and I want to say this: an interview, and you've covered a lot more.
Okay.
I put that in there because
I don't like to look. See,
well, no, because I like to look.
Okay. I like to wait and share with you all, but I'm very happy sharing Spanky here on the show, and some of the other folks here too.
Stop it, Mario. Let me do this. Honestly,
Nicole,
stop it. I have to slow him down sometime because I know where he's going. No, the fun part of this, I always say that if you don't have fun in your enterprise, success without fun and enjoyment is just a mindless journey. The fun part of what you do that you just can't get enough of.
Gosh, I love it all. I mean, there are days when it's all fun, and there are days when none of it is fun. But I love having my own business, and I think one of my favorite things is probably the interaction that I have with so many different people, and the ability to connect with people that I would never otherwise connect with. I think it just is the best thing about what I do.
It's contagious, isn't it?
It is.
And the young people keep you flowing because they're so on the positive track most of the time. I find that when you're working with the energy of younger folks or younger minded folks, their energy just keeps you going.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm very young-minded, mind you.
Well, everybody, you can find them as www.hodgescollection.com. Also, the Facebook presence is there for you to evaluate, too. At the www.ocfashionshowcase.com. That's all about the Orange County Fashion Showcase. Deanna, any special messages you want to send out there to the people in social media who are going to be seeing this? Any last words, anything you want to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, please, I love input. Keep in mind we're working on the website, but I love input from anybody who's utilizing my sites, who's visiting my sites. Please feel free to contact me. I do reach out to, I'm very active, so I do respond. I do reach out to people who reach out to me, and I love to hear from you.
Everybody, that is our guest, Deanna Hodges. Thank you, Adrian, too. Adrian Anderson.
Thank you all. Happy to be here. Here.
Wow. So go home and think about that. Once again, Inspiring Tales